better get busier quick. Okay, not everybody gets to do this, and one day I won't be able to do this, so I'm just gonna appreciate it for what it is. Big fish in a small pond, and then you're a little fish in a big pond. It was a big jump.
This is your dream as a kid. When did it hit you?
And I remember, I think my phone just started blowing up, and I'm like, I don't get it. And I get a call from the Brewers scout, and he's like, yeah, we drafted you. I'm like, thanks. The crowd was just going crazy. And I'm fist pumping it. It's like there's probably 6,000 to 7,000 people here. That's the fun part. This is what baseball's about. It's not about the money, the contracts, this is what it's about.
What's the worst moment?
Like as I'm saying, it's like there's always going to be highs, there's always going to be lows. I remember going into the clubhouse and being like, I don't want to play anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Two Press Podcast, aka the #1 podcast in Winnipeg, where we document the rise and stardom of Winnipeg's talent and personalities. The locations have been changing quite a bit. This is not our regular studio at all. We are here at the Blue Cross Park, so shout out the home of the Goldeyes. So shout out to the Goldeyes for letting us do this here. Today we have a special guest for you guys. He was drafted in the 2018 MLB Draft by the Milwaukee Brewers, and he is now the home pitcher for Winnipeg Goldeyes. Please welcome Joey Matulovich, ladies and gentlemen. Big crowd, big crowd. Thank you, Dubo. Joey, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for sitting us down in what I could say is your field, your diamond. What's the proper terminology here?
Field. Yeah, we just call it the field. Like whenever we're going somewhere, hey, I'm going to the field now. So yeah, it's just referred to as the field.
This is one of my first times here in this actual spot. What is it like being here in this specific park, in this field, like standing right over there and like pitching the ball? What does that feel like?
It's great because compared to so many other places I've been, the fans here are awesome. It's a great atmosphere every night. I mean, even on weekdays, we get good fans and it's always fun. And that's what makes baseball fun. It's the fans, the atmosphere. And I don't think you can really beat the atmosphere here, especially, I mean, just playing around this league and playing against other teams. It's like, well, this is the spot I want to be. That's for sure. Yeah.
What's the feeling like when you walk through that tunnel and like, it's like time, it's game time, like you have a game today?
Every day I'm always thinking, and it really depends on if it's the weekend or the weekday.
Okay.
I'm like, I wonder how many people are out there. And so I love walking out, and you can start to hear chatter of the people and stuff. So if you hear more, if it's louder, obviously there's more people. If it's quieter, on a Tuesday, there might be less people.
Yeah.
But I always just like to see how many people there are, because it's obviously more people, the more fun it is.
Yeah, I can't imagine what the feeling is like when you're like, okay, this is game day, locked in, time to go, and then this is what you're made for.
Yeah, it's funny because that's the only feeling I've played baseball for most of my entire life, and obviously not in front of a couple thousand people a night, but I started pitching when I was 9, so it feels very normal.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I didn't realize it until last year. I was coaching first base one day, and I was just looking in the stands, and there's probably about 5,000 or 6,000 people here, and I was just like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, not everybody gets to do this, and one day I won't be able to do this, so I'm just going to appreciate it for what it is, because it's like, it's definitely something special.
That's a great mindset, right? Like you got a view, you got the Human Rights Museum in the background, like.
We got the big new video board now.
Yep. And shout out for them put up stuff. Do you remember like your first game here? Like first couple games,
do.
like a story that comes to mind when the first game, when like
were
you nervous before? What's going through your mind?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you go back and look at last year, I definitely had a rough start to the year. Ended up turning around about halfway through the season, but at the beginning of the year, it was hard because when I was with the Brewers, I was coming out of the bullpen, so I wasn't starting. And then when I came here, I wanted to make sure that I was starting, so I talked to Greg Taggart, who was the manager at the time, and made sure I had a starting spot. And so starting was something I hadn't done in 2 years at that point, so it was definitely an adjustment, and there was definitely some nerves involved. But now, it feels like home here. I have all the guys on the team. I love them to death. Some of my best friends now.
Nice.
And so it just makes it a lot easier when you're comfortable with where you're at, the people you're around, and all that sort of stuff.
Let's take this journey back a little, a lot actually. Where does this baseball journey start for Joey?
I mean, I started playing t-ball when I was probably 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
But I didn't start pitching until I was 9 in Little League, and then played all through Little League. And I was always one of the better pitchers on the team. Nothing crazy. Didn't throw super hard or anything. but was always one of the better pitchers. And then after that, when I was 13 through 15, I played Babe Ruth, which is I don't think they have it here in Canada, but in the U.S., it's kind of like a higher level for of like, it's kind of set up the same way as Little League is, where it's structured by kind of community and town and city and all that sort of stuff. And that's for 13 through 15. And then I played a little bit of travel ball after that for a local team. But I never was big into like traveling too far for tournaments and stuff. I really valued my time at home with my friends and messing around doing stupid stuff.
And this was in California, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I grew up like 40 minutes east of San Francisco. About 25 minutes away from Oakland. In a small town called Danville, although it's not so small anymore. It's growing and growing.
Shout out Danville.
But so yeah, I grew up there, and sports were always super big, really, really big. I mean, just off my like 12-year-old Little League All-Star team, I think there was 3 or 4 guys that got drafted out of college. A handful of guys that played Division I in college. So sports were always a big thing in our area. Yeah.
So for going from T-ball to just hitting it, what inspired of like, hey, I want to do this for like for a career, or was it just like through high school you're just playing and then going through? What was that journey like?
Well, to be honest, for the beginning portion of my baseball career, when I was, I'd say 9 to 13, 14, I happened to be good at it, so I was like, oh, this is fun because I'm good at it, and I wasn't very good at anything else. I'm not a good physical sport type person, so I love basketball, not a good player. Any sort of physical contact, I'm done. Football, definitely not. And so I kind of just gravitated toward baseball because that's what I was better at than most anything else. I did run cross country for a little bit, actually. I thought that was fun.
Long distance?
Yeah.
Long distance, right.
Everybody looks at me weird when I say that, but I'm like, I don't know, it's fun. Yeah. For whatever reason.
Hey, fair.
But
taking the career like through high school.
So into high school, I didn't really take baseball like super seriously until I turned about 14, 15, my sophomore year of high school. And I had a coach, his name's Brad Wellman. He played in the major leagues for like 8 or 9 years. And he was my coach from when I was 12 all the way through high school. I still talk to him very regularly.
Nice.
And he was just like, dude, you got to get busy or quit. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to play baseball. And he's like, well, better get busy or quit. And I'm like, okay. And so it was funny because he owned a baseball facility like 10 minutes from my house, if that. I could walk there if I needed to. And from there on out, I was just like, he would see me. I was in there every day. And he never charged me any money because he was doing well on the business side of things. And he knew I was one of his guys. There was a couple of us that he just didn't charge. He would just let us come in and do our thing. And started going in there every day and just getting busy, and because I didn't want to quit.
What'd you learn from him? Like, what were some of the things that he like instilled and was like?
Everything. I mean, he has the most like incredible sayings of all time when it comes to baseball. Just like my favorite is the golden rule. He who holds the gold makes the rules. And he's like, go get yourself some gold, and then you can change the rules. And so stuff like that, where it's like, and then you go down the line of playing baseball and you realize, oh, he's right about all these things. Because like I said, he played in the major leagues for 9 years. And yeah, baseball's changed over that time, the way it's played and all that sort of, but it's like, it's at its core, it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
Because baseball is a little bit different than all the other sports. There's a lot more tradition, a lot more like old school mentality. Guys that like to hold on to that, like I said, the more old school mentality. And those baseball players that played in the 80s and 90s were tough guys. Yeah, they're a different breed.
Feel different.
Yeah, not like us nowadays. They were different. So, yeah, he taught me. I mean, he was like a second dad to me for sure.
That's awesome.
Because luckily my parents didn't know anything about baseball, and they just like,
they just put you in.
Yeah, go ahead, go with this guy. We trust him, and like I said, he's been a big part of my life for what 14 or 15 years now. So
wow,
it was nice to have somebody that understood the game. Because I tell everybody, if your dad didn't play professional baseball, don't listen to him. He doesn't know anything. Because even if he played in college, it's not the same. It's different.
Fair. And then going from what kind of work ethic was instilled there? Like, what were you like going hardcore, like getting busy and like just every day just working on your craft slowly and slowly? What was sort of like practices looking like in the training?
At that point, it was more just, I was 14 or 15 at the time, and at that point, it was just like there wasn't necessarily a huge plan put into place.
Okay.
But it was like, hey, you need to pretty much throw, I would say 5 or 6 days a week, playing catch, working on stuff, playing catch with a purpose, not just going out and just having fun. Like, let's do this. This is a job. Let's take this serious. And so going in 5, 6 days a week and treating it as a job, not just, oh, I'm here to have fun and mess around.
Yeah.
So that definitely changed my mindset of how to work, not just show up and just, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. It's like, no, do it with a purpose. So.
Do you have a story from maybe some of the games that you played during your high school career or early on that like stands out? Positive or negative, either one?
Let me think.
I'm putting you on the spot.
So not specific games, but when I was my freshman year of high school, 9th grade. I don't know, people can't. Yeah. You guys say it's a little different. In 9th grade, I had a really good year that year. I was probably the best pitcher on the team, and then I come into my sophomore year, 10th grade, and I actually broke my hand.
Oh no.
So I missed pretty much that entire season because I was in a cast for 6 weeks, and then I had to get back into throwing and all that sort of stuff because it was my right hand.
Yeah.
And I come back that summer, and I was the worst pitcher of all time. I was like, I couldn't get anybody out. I felt horrible. I was just like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I was just like, this sucks. It's not fun to be bad.
Yeah.
And that was when Brad told me, he's like, better get busy or quit. Because it's like, hey, you're behind. You got injured. You missed a high school season.
Yeah.
You better get busy or quit. And so that's when I kind of turned it around. But at that point, I was like, I don't know if I want to play anymore. This sucks. And being a high school kid, I wanted to go chase girls and have a good time with my buddies and mess around, do stupid stuff. So, but looking back now, I mean, it's definitely some of the best advice I've ever gotten was, and it kind of goes for life, right? Like, if you want something, you better get busy. It's like you guys doing a podcast. You don't get somewhere without putting in the work.
100%. No, I appreciate you saying that because I resonate. I've never heard the quote "get busy," or quit, but like that's what we kind of live by too. It's like, put in the work and see what happens.
Exactly.
See what happens. That's insane. How did you break the hand? Was it like a baseball thing or?
I was in the dugout for one of our first games, and I'm not going to name names.
Okay.
But one of my teammates, and I'm a very even keel guy. I don't ever really get upset, but for whatever reason, he was making me pretty upset that day. Ooh. And I go to sit on a bucket, and he kicks the bucket out from under me, and so I fall on the ground. And I don't wish because it's a little violent, but I punched him in the arm.
Okay.
And
you wanted to go for that.
I'm not a violent guy. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I punched him in the arm, and he was like moving away, so I hit him with these 2 knuckles, and I broke the fifth metacarpal there on the hand. So yeah, it was the only bone I've ever broken in my entire life.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. Does it get rowdy like that in baseball? Like how? What's the environment like in the dugout? Like you guys?
We just have fun.
You just have fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're paying attention to the game. Yeah. Guys do something. You're trying to make sure you're there for your guys. Paying attention. Guy gets a hit, you high five, you tell him good job, all that sort of stuff. You can't just not pay attention at all. Sometimes I do, but it's just you want to have as good vibes as possible.
Gotcha.
Positivity. At least that's my thing. Is like positivity breeds positivity all the time. So I don't care who it is. I want everybody to do well. And even like goes back to my time with the Brewers, because when you're with the MLB organization, you're trying to move up ahead of guys, right? You're trying to keep moving up the ladder. And so a lot of times guys will get stuck in this mindset of like, oh, I want you to pitch like crap. I want this guy to pitch like crap. I don't want you to pitch well because it's like
on the same team.
Okay. You're on the same team, but it's like I want to move up over you.
Gotcha.
And it's like that's just not a way to play because negativity is going to bring negativity, and you want to stay positive. So.
Wow. Okay, so now let's transfer into playing at university or college. What was that transition like, and making it like, now I'm playing?
Yeah,
now you're
that was definitely a big jump. That was probably the biggest jump, just because my senior year of high school, I was definitely one of the better players around, and so it's the old saying, a big fish in a small pond, and then you're a little fish in a big pond or whatever. So making that jump from high school to a big Division I college, playing in the Pac-12, which Pac-12 no longer exists, but playing in the Pac-12, it was a big jump, and being around guys that you're like, holy crap, these guys can really play.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Landon yesterday. We had 9 or 10 guys get drafted off that team just my freshman year.
Wow.
And I think we had 3 or 4 guys in the top 5 rounds of the draft. So like we were really good.
Yeah.
And so just going there and seeing how guys that were 20, 21 years old, meanwhile I'm only 18, how they go about their business, how they play the game, how they take care of themselves, all that sort of stuff. It was a big, not a shock, but it was like, oh, okay, there's another level to this. So learning that piece to it was big. And I was lucky. I had a couple teammates that were older. Dalton Jeffries, he was a first-round pick that year, and he's in the major leagues with the Pirates right now.
Yeah.
And he helped me out a ton. Just like gave me little tips and tricks of how to go about my business, how to take care of myself, how to act, how to all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Do well enough in school. All that sort of stuff. So it definitely helped to have guys that would look out for you a little bit. And then there were some guys that weren't so nice that didn't necessarily look out for you a bit. No. But that's sports in general.
What about the decision to go to University of California?
That, so I didn't get my first college offer until my senior year of high school. And my first offer was from University of San Francisco, which is actually where 2 of my teammates, Landon Barasa and Rob Emery, went.
Okay.
And I really liked their pitching coach. He ended up leaving, so I didn't go to USF. But going to Cal, it wasn't too hard of a decision.
Okay.
Just because my grandpa went there, and my great-grandpa also went there. And my grandma was a big academic. She was like, you need to go to a good school.
Yeah.
She's like, you're going to a good school. And so I kind of narrowed it down between there and University of California at Santa Barbara.
Gotcha.
Which is where my mom went. And obviously Santa Barbara's pretty nice. It's right on the beach and everything, and tough to beat. But it definitely came down to playing in a bigger college conference and then being close to home. Berkeley was only 20 minutes from my parents' house.
Nice.
So I could get away from home and go be on my own, but if I wanted to go get a home-cooked meal on a Sunday, I could go home too, and it was great, get my laundry done.
Beautiful.
But it was definitely not too hard of a decision, just because of the academic side of things. Cal being one of the better universities out there. And my mom was like, you need to go, you need to go there. Because my parents are big on school. Nice. Especially my dad's side of the family. He's got a big family. I think I'm the 16th grandchild.
Wow.
And he's got 7 brothers and sisters. And my brother was actually the first Matulovich to graduate from college.
Okay.
So it was pretty cool. And so school was definitely emphasized on that side of things, yeah.
But then playing basketball, or sorry, playing baseball playing baseball and being at school, balancing that student life, like student athlete life.
It definitely was an adjustment period, but we were lucky. The teachers, they understood.
Gotcha.
Like there was a handful of times we'd be flying back on a Sunday, and I would be like, oh no, I didn't do that. I didn't turn in that assignment or whatever. And so I'd send an email, and they'd be like, yeah, just turn it in tomorrow.
Nice. Okay.
And so it was definitely an adjustment, but they want to help you. They don't want to see you fail. And if you're showing up to class and you're doing most of the work, and they understand that you're going to put in the effort, they're going to help you out and make sure it works out. Nobody wants you to fail out or anything.
100%. That's awesome. When you got your offer, like in high school, what was that feeling like? Did you know
cool.
that was coming? Did there were scouts coming out to watch you play? What does that whole process look like?
By the time I got an offer from Cal, I think I had probably maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or so.
Gotcha.
But it was definitely my biggest offer, just from a big school standpoint. And it was cool because I grew up going to those baseball games. I remember being a kid chasing down foul balls. I see these kids chase foul balls here, and I'm like, I remember exactly what that was like. chasing down foul balls. Yeah, it was cool because I mean, as a high school player, the only thing you think of is like, I just want to be able to play in college.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. I want to play. Obviously, you want to try and play Division I, but it's like I just want to play in college.
Yep.
And being able to do that, like I think about it pretty frequently. Like I've been so lucky to be able to do. Like if I were to look at myself or talk to myself when I was 12, 13 years old, like, dang, you've done pretty good, dude. Like you're doing all right. And so obviously, there's always you wish you could do more and more and more. But if you look at it from the perspective of like, would 12-year-old you be happy? It's like, heck yeah, I'd be happy. It's like, okay, I can live with that.
You're living it up to your younger self.
Yeah.
You know, you owe it to yourself.
Exactly.
I always say, like I want a Lamborghini, but I've always wanted one since the age of 5.
Yeah.
Is it the most financial smart decision, especially in Winnipeg? Probably not with the potholes.
Yeah.
But like, I owe it to my 5-year-old self to make that happen.
Strive for that, yeah.
Right. So I understand when you say like, if you look back and you say, 12-year-old Joey's going to be proud.
Yeah.
When was the decision of like, I want to play for real? Like I want to take it to the leagues. I want to get drafted. I want to go that route.
It had to have been my sophomore year of high school after I come back from a broken hand.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, I had always like my freshman year of high school, I remember I was like, I want to play in college, but I never thought about it too much. But then I guess it was going into my junior year of high school was when I was like, no, I really want to do this.
You want to do this, yeah.
And so that's definitely when I started to like really take it seriously, and I was lucky. The people that came into my life, the coaches that came into my life, really helped me get onto that path of like, hey, like if this is what you want to do,
this is the way.
Come here and we'll take care of you and we'll do it. So it definitely helped to.
And you were pitching at that time, like throughout.
Yeah.
Throughout.
I'm probably one of the worst hitters to ever do. I got one at bat in high school and I got one hit.
Okay.
And I go, I'm good.
You got your highlight.
Yeah. The coach asked me, "Do you want to hit again?" I said, "Absolutely not. I'm good. 1 for 1. That's it."
Can you break down the almost like science, you could say, of like pitching? What is it like to stand and just throw that thing at miles per hour?
It's funny because it's like when I started pitching, none of this, all this data and stuff that's out there was not a thing.
Okay.
It was just a radar gun.
Yeah.
Oh, you throw 95 or whatever it was. And now it's like there's numbers for everything. So like you know exactly like it's called a pitch plot.
Okay.
And you can see exactly where your pitches are moving, how they're moving, and it's almost like everybody's is very unique to them based off like what pitches you throw, how much they move, how they move. It's really important like release height, release extension, all that stuff. It's hard because as a player you can't worry about it too much.
Yeah.
If you start thinking about that stuff, you're going to be off the rails. But it does play an important part into. There's certain metrics and numbers that are going to like. You can kind of read that you're going to have success based off those numbers. But obviously, there's always just the competition aspect. You got to go out there and compete. You got to execute your pitches.
Yeah.
But it's funny. We were playing in this golf tournament the other day for the Goldeyes Field of Dreams Foundation.
Okay.
And I was telling everybody before the tournament, like I don't play golf a ton. And I was like, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. And one of our strength coach, he goes, "You're a professional pitcher and you're nervous to go play golf for fun?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I don't get nervous pitching because I just do it all the time. It's so normal to me. But golf, it's like I'm not used to it, so I get nervous." So yeah, it's being out there on the mound. It feels normal. I don't really think about it too much.
This might be a naive question for me, but like, how do you decide what kind of pitch to throw?
So it's the catcher's calling the pitches, and he's the one that's really paying attention.
Gotcha.
But as a pitcher, you're more looking at like how a hitter's swing, like what his swing looks like, and then you're kind of playing with that and your strengths.
Okay.
And then you're also setting up pitch to pitch. So like say you throw a fastball away to a right-handed hitter.
Yeah.
And then next pitch, like it's for a strike. And then the next pitch might be set up well to throw a cutter off the plate because it's going to look like a fastball that's going to start where the fastball was.
Sure.
But it's going to break off the plate. So now you're going to look and get a swing and miss off the plate. Versus you could also go like fastball into a right-handed hitter and then a changeup in, or fastball up and then a curveball. Like you kind of learn how to set things up just based off like hitter's vision. You kind of you're setting things up based off what they see. So like if you throw a fastball up, you might want to go throw a curveball just because it's going to start at the same eye level, but it's going to break below the strike zone.
Damn.
So yeah, it's stuff like that.
But it's very nuanced.
Yeah, but it's funny because it's not that hard when you do it all the time because it's all you think about. It's all you do. You don't really do anything else.
And so you're letting the ball go at like different ways for that to happen?
Fastball is coming off your fingers like very true spin.
Yeah.
A cutter is like you're going to be slightly on the side of it, and it's coming out more like it would be like as a bullet spins.
Okay.
A slider is coming out. You're almost throwing it like a football, and it's going to come out spinning sideways like this.
Damn.
Changeup is coming off your fingers this way, so it's coming off spinning the opposite way of a slider. So it's almost spinning like a UFO, I guess you could call it, this way. And then a curveball is typically going to be more straight to top to bottom.
I'm going to go home and just be like...
Yeah. But it's hard because I don't want to... If there's any young baseball players just listening to this, you can't try and manipulate the pitches too much. That's the hard part. It's like you have to figure out a grip that works. And this is, it can take months, years to figure this stuff out. Is not trying to manipulate the pitch, but throw the grip. It's almost like you're throwing the grip of the pitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always like see like the baseball highlights and like you see the big like home run. What is the perspective like from your side when a player hits a home run on your pitch? Like, are you bummed out by that?
Yeah, but like it really depends. So like yesterday, I gave up a home run, and I can live with it because I executed the pitch that we called, and the guy just hit it.
Okay.
And it was probably just the wrong pitch to throw, but I executed it. So it's like, okay, like next time you just I'm not going to go throw a fastball into this guy because that's what he hits well. I'm going to go fastball away or a fastball up and make him go the other way with it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, there's kind of no point on dwelling on it. It's more of like, A, was it a bad pitch? B, was it the wrong pitch?
Got you.
And then I can like yesterday, it was just the wrong pitch.
Yeah.
Fine, that's fine.
Live with it.
So I can live with that on that one.
Does it get to your head when you're throwing and they're either not striking out or like they're not like they're just getting hits after hits after hits?
It's definitely, it makes it a lot harder.
Like does the mind play a role into the way that you pitch?
And so I think the biggest thing is when things aren't going well, everything starts to speed up. When things start to speed up, that's when things get out of control.
Gotcha.
And
being able to speed up.
So mentally. Everything speeds up. Like you're throwing before you know it. It's almost like you blacked out and you've thrown 5 pitches without even knowing what's going on. And so it's super important. And I actually, I went and saw a hypnotherapist last year a couple times, and big thing we would always work on was just breathing. And so it's helped a lot with being able to just slow everything down.
Yeah.
Starting with the heart rate and slowing everything down from there, because you're just going to make better decisions if you slow things down rather than speed it up. If it's sped up, now you're not thinking correctly, you're not making the right decisions. So definitely helps to just slow things down, starting with the breath.
Got you.
Yeah.
Do you have a routine that you go through?
I have a daily routine that I do every day to get ready physically.
Yeah.
But my main thing, like when I'm not pitching, I don't have to worry too much about the breath work. But when I am pitching that day, it's like really important to focus on your breathing, just because your nervous system's going to get ramped up and you don't even know it. And now you're burning all these calories and burning all this energy without doing anything.
True.
But your heart rate's already elevated because you're nervous or whatever. And so it's like being conscious of that and not allowing your body to burn all this energy without, you're literally just sitting there, but your heart rate's at 80 or 90 just because you're thinking about the game.
Yeah.
Being able to slow that down.
That's amazing. Where did you learn? Like, you probably learned this throughout your career, right? Like, was there a moment, like, maybe it clicked, or you're like, oh, wait, I can do this way, and this is what the result will be?
It's funny, because I was thinking about this yesterday, is like, you go through, you play for so long, and with baseball specifically, there's going to be ups and downs, no matter what. I don't care how good you are, there's going to be ups and downs. And navigating like when things aren't going well, just trying to figure out where you were when things were going well is always, like last night I'm thinking about, the season's going pretty well. Like, what's my mindset been this year? And it's like, I think the biggest thing for me has just been like, hey, like, take your work seriously. Have a plan each day. But B, it's like, just have fun. Like, don't, like, you have one bad game. It's like, yeah, assess it and figure out what happened or whatever. But don't dwell on it. Like, just go have fun. Because, like I said earlier, it's pretty. We get to play in front of a couple thousand people every night. And it's like, oh, just enjoy it.
Yeah. Live in the moment.
Yeah.
Live in the moment.
Don't dwell on stupid little stuff that, oh, I could have thrown this pitch a little bit better. It's like, it is what it is. It's, as Coach Mark Brewer, the legend. I love that guy. He's our pitching coach. He just every time, like, the guy hit a home run yesterday. He's like, water under the bridge. Water under the bridge.
Water under the bridge. 100%.
And so it's being able to get yourself back to where you need to be when things were going well. If they're going bad, it makes it. It helps to write it down too. Gotcha. Writing stuff down is very helpful because then you have like key words and key thoughts in your mind of when things were going well, and then you can go back, read that, be like, okay, this is what I was thinking at that time.
Yeah, that's very wise. It's very wise. Let's take it back. So, you're playing in college, first year, second year, third year. What was the idea of going into the draft now? Like, what was your college career like? What were some highlights, some not so highlights?
Yeah, I had an interesting college career. So my freshman year, I pitched really well, had really good numbers that year, and then I went, it's not super common for freshmen to pitch a lot. I was fortunate; I threw like 50 innings that year.
Yeah,
and I went and played summer ball up in Washington State that year in Bellingham, Washington.
Okay.
And had a really good summer, and then I came back my sophomore year, and I was hoping to be a starter that year. I didn't quite get the starting job initially to start the season, but then I got a start against Pepperdine, and I threw a complete game shutout, and so then I earned a starting job after that.
Let's go.
Pitched the rest of the year. Pitched okay, nothing too great, not too bad. But I had a really good summer. I went and played in the Cape Cod League, which is, I would say, is probably the best college summer league out there. And I had a really good summer that summer. So I came back my junior year and was starting. Disastrous junior year. Horrible. No. And it was all on me. Just like mental, I put myself in huge, like big mental handcuffs, just not thinking the right way, trying to be somebody that I wasn't, trying to do stuff that wasn't me. So stuff like that.
Why do you think that was?
You know, probably just putting too much pressure on myself because I did come into that year. Like, I mean, my first start that year, there was 25, 30 scouts there from every team.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like, I wasn't super secure with myself, probably secure enough with myself as a person, as a player at that time.
Yeah.
That I was trying to be somebody that I maybe wasn't. And it's funny because I look back at it now and I just laugh because it was such a good learning experience. Like, yeah, I wish I could have thrown better and got drafted higher and all this sort of stuff. But it's like, no, I mean, it was meant to be the way it was. And so I had a pretty disastrous junior year, but luckily I went back to the Cape Cod League that summer and pitched really well again.
Okay.
And I ended up signing with the Brewers the last day of the signing signing deadline in 2018.
Do you remember the story, like how everything played out?
Yeah.
Do you get a call? Do you get an email? What does this look like?
So when I got drafted, I was actually at the beach. I was at Stinson
Very
Beach.
California. Okay.
Yeah, I was at Stinson Beach. And I remember, I think my phone just started blowing up, and I'm like, I don't get it. And I get a call from the Brewers scout, and he's like, yeah, we drafted you. I'm like, thanks. Okay. And he's just like, all right, we'll be in touch. But like, just figuring out the money after that, all that sort of stuff. And then I just enjoyed the rest of my day at the beach.
Yeah, it's a regular day. Hey?
Yeah. But people were texting me, and I'm not a big fan of being on my phone.
Okay.
So like I had my birthday the other day, and it's so hard for me because, you know, you get birthday texts, family, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm the worst person at texting back and stuff. I feel so bad, but I just don't like being on my phone very much.
Yeah.
And so when people were texting me, I'm like trying to keep up with it. I'm like, oh, this sucks. But then we ended up, you know, they go through the negotiations and stuff, and we couldn't reach a number that we agreed on. So I went back and I played in Cape Cod League to try and earn more money. And I pitched really well. I gave up, I think, 1 run in 25 innings.
Wow.
And so I was able to get some more money, and then I signed with the Brewers. Yeah.
When did it hit you that, like, you were signed and, like, this is, like, because this is your dream as a kid. You know, you want to play in the leagues, and here you are being signed to this team.
It hit
you
me.
get a call, and you're like, it's another day. But now all of a sudden, it's like, when did it hit you?
It hit me when I got to Arizona and I signed, and then the next day, the bus was to the field, to the spring training complex at like noon, and we were at the field from noon until like 10, and I was like, oh, this is what it is every day? Oh, this is a lot.
Ooh.
And so that was the first like, oh, I can't just like go play video games after that. Like,
it's a job.
Yeah,
it's a job.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, this is different. But then when I ended up going to Helena, Montana a couple days later and played in short season up there, and then things were more normal. You know, I had guys that just got drafted out of college there. I'm a couple of my still really good friends are on that team. So just getting more acclimated and making friends and stuff was big. Because obviously when you go in and you don't know anybody, things get just feels weird.
Do you have a story from like your first season playing that stands out, or like a first game? Or I'm a big story person. I think people just love hearing stories that you live and like. And it gives perspective as well. So if you have one, I don't want to put you on the spot there.
I gotta think. I mean, it was definitely. I gotta think of one that's A, good, B, appropriate.
Okay, you said the non-rule kind of. When you say not appropriate, how far are we going here?
I could go pretty far. There's so many. There's no good like in-depth stories that I can think of. But there's so many little things. Like I remember we were getting on the bus, and we had a 16-hour bus trip. We were about to go on, and I'm sitting in two seats just next to the person next to me for 16 hours. Ooh. And that was just some of the most miserable time of my life. AC's barely working on the bus. I'm just sitting there just like, oh my gosh.
Oh no.
But it builds character. You learn how to deal with stuff where it's like, this is really, really crappy. But just figuring out how to make it work. A fun one, actually, one of my good friends, his name's Scotty Sunich. He's from Washington, and we were in spring training our first year in Arizona, and our apartments were kind of out the outskirts of Phoenix. And so more out in the desert, and there's a lot of scorpions and a lot of black widows out there.
Okay.
And so, I don't know if you guys know, but with scorpions, if you have a black flashlight, they glow like bright green, like neon green.
I did not know that.
And so he's out there, he bought Tupperware from the grocery store, and he's out there catching scorpions and black widows and making them fight in the Tupperware. And the black widows typically won because they would just spin their web and get the scorpions stuck in it.
Very interesting.
But yeah, that was a wild one. And at 1 in the morning, I wake up, and it's 6 in the morning. I turn on the light. I'm tying up my shoes, and I look up, and there's a scorpion walking across right above my bed.
Damn.
And I'm just like, I'm never coming back here.
No. This was in Milwaukee?
No, this was in Arizona.
Arizona. Okay.
And which I live there now.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say,
where we live, there's no scorpions.
Gotcha.
You have to go out like more into the desert to find scorpions. And so I called my buddy, he was my roommate. I'm like, you got to come catch this thing. So he came up and caught it. I'm like, count me out.
Big spider guy.
Yeah, he's a big outdoors guy, big hunter, loves everything outdoors.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about yourself? What like outside of playing on the field? What are some things that you're interested in and like?
Well,
that keep you busy.
If you were to ask anybody else, I play a lot of video games.
What are you playing?
Right now, I've been playing a lot of MLB The Show.
Okay.
So I always had an Xbox for my entire life.
Yeah.
MLB The Show was only on PlayStation.
Okay.
And then in 2020, right after COVID hit, I bought a PC, and that's when MLB The Show came out on Xbox. So I didn't have an Xbox anymore, and so I was playing on a PC. And so I never got to play it. And then I just bought an Xbox right before the season started. And so I've been playing MLB The Show like crazy.
Nice.
Having an absolute blast. And then I've actually been playing a lot of Fortnite.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was playing with Andy Armstrong, our shortstop, last night after the game. Playing Fortnite. Played a lot of Call of Duty, played Minecraft.
Nice.
I'll play 2K, a lot of 2K. I'm kind of burnt out on 2K right now.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
Fair. And that just gets your mind off things to like relax.
Yeah, I'm just a nerd. I just like to play video games.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it keeps me it's a good way for me to not to go spend money going out and like, getting dinner every night and all that sort of stuff. I just go back and play video games.
Yeah. Young soul at heart. Young soul. Beautiful. Now let's transition into playing professionally. What is something that you didn't realize about playing professionally when you had the aspirations? Like you realized that, okay, like this is work now.
Yeah.
Was there anything that stood out to you of like, I enjoy the pitching side. I enjoy being on the field. I enjoy all that aspect, but this sort of stuff I was not expecting. I didn't even know this. Maybe the business side, maybe the world, the interacting,
it's hard.
The media.
So there are probably a couple things. Like the business side of things, it is a business. Like if you don't perform, it's not good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there's not a lot of good people that work within the business. A lot of the people with the Brewers, they're some of the best people I've ever been around. Some of the sweetest people. Like I love everybody there. And when I got released from the Brewers, it was no surprise for me. I wasn't throwing well, and I have no hard feelings. Because I know some guys that got released, and they had some hard feelings with the teams that released them. But I got nothing bad to say about the Brewers. I love everybody there. So, but on the other hand, it is a business. So like, if you don't perform, you might be out of there.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the coolest things about professional baseball, especially within the minor leagues, is just getting to meet so many people from around the U.S. or Canada, Mexico, close to the U.S., but also so many Latin American guys, especially guys from the Dominican, guys from Venezuela, Cuba, Puerto Rico, just so many cool people. That some of the most genuine people you could ever meet in your entire life, and a lot of them come from way different backgrounds than what we grew up with in California. Everybody's so different. That was probably my favorite thing about, or is my favorite thing about professional baseball, is just the people. Is like you just meet so many cool new people. I mean, my Spanish got way better. It's kind of I've been struggling with my Spanish lately because I don't talk to anybody in Spanish. But just meeting these people from Cuba, the Dominican, it's like, and they just their way of life is so different. They're just so much more like focused on like just enjoying the moment, having a good time. They're a lot of them are a lot less worried about like the little stuff that we worry about on a day-to-day basis. A lot of like, you go into a minor league clubhouse and most of the time it's spent like Latin, like Spanish music, and the guys are just having a good time. It's such a blast. Some of the best people I've ever been around, for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And would you say that's like the environment that baseball is like?
Oh yeah. And sometimes it drives you up a wall when all you hear is this loud Spanish music, and you're just like, I just want quiet. But it's very fun.
What about the environment, like the environment of like the fans? What are the fan interactions like? Have you had an interaction that stands out, or when you interact?
Nothing that stands out, but it definitely depends on where you're at.
The crowd.
Obviously, playing at home here is really fun because we get good fans, vast majority of the time. Being on the road can be weird. Just depends on where you're at.
Like, is it rowdy? Like, do fans get like in your head?
It depends on where you're at. I'm trying to think where was the worst. In college, one of the hardest places to play is Oregon State.
Okay. Why is that?
Andy Armstrong, our shortstop, played there. Hey, they won the national championship when I was in college. They were one of the best, if not the best, college team I've ever seen in my entire life. But their fans, it was like they were gonna wear you out all game. And it was a bunch of like middle-aged folks that were just like,
What did they say?
I don't remember specifics, but like if you do something wrong, they were gonna wear. It was gonna.
They're gonna let you know.
Their stadium wasn't that big. I think it only holds like 4,000 people, 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Yeah.
But it sold out, and they were gonna let you know if you did something, made a bad hit, like you can't throw strikes. They're gonna let you know. Guy makes an error, they're booing, yelling at you. It's bad.
Damn.
And it's hard because the dugout. Their seats are like right above the dugout, so you cannot get away from them. Yeah, it was tough.
Does the crowd influence the way you play a tremendous amount?
No.
Yeah.
It's definitely more fun when there's fans, just because you get like more adrenaline, more juices flowing.
Yeah.
But and it's hard when there's no fans. It's almost just like it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
really quiet. You can like hear people talking in the dugout. But definitely, the fans make it more fun. Home or on the road, it doesn't matter. Like, if fans are chirping at you when you're pitching, I don't ever hear it.
Gotcha.
You're so focused on what you're doing that you don't even pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other influences that influence the way you pitch? Like we were talking, just like setting up this podcast, the wind was influencing us. But like, does the wind influence you?
How you pitch?
Yeah, kinda. Sometimes I try not to worry about it too much, just because I focus more on using my strengths rather than focusing on outside stuff. But I'm trying to think. You're going to go through like a scouting report on each lineup before you face them.
Yeah.
And there's a fine line, like I said, between focusing on your strengths and their weaknesses, because sometimes their weaknesses could also be your weakness. And now it's like, okay.
You're playing a game.
So sometimes you're better off just challenging them with your best stuff against their best stuff and see what we can do.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's with baseball game, especially starting. It's almost like it's scripted. Like there's a way things kind of work out, and you can kind of tell how a game's going to go just based off like the first couple, like the first inning or the first 2 innings. You're like, okay, I see how this is going to roll out.
Have you hit a
Player?
Yeah, I mean,
purposefully?
no, not on purpose. I like everybody.
Okay.
I don't dislike anybody. It's funny. Like some of these guys probably hate playing against me because I love talking to guys.
Yeah.
Guy hits a ball hard, but he gets out. I'm telling him like, good swing, good swing. I love liking people. I love. Being,
Okay.
I will never be a mean guy.
Not a trash talker.
No. Baseball's too hard to trash talk.
Really?
If you trash talk, it's gonna come back and bite you in the butt.
Ooh.
I'm not a fan.
No.
It's too hard.
Are there guys that will like try to trash talk you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened to me this year.
Okay.
But yeah, guys will talk, and it's.
And then you're like, I'll see you. Like I'll see you. Like I'm gonna throw them.
Yeah.
Like,
I try not to say anything because, like I said, it's like we always talk. Like the baseball gods, they know there's baseball gods, and they're if you need to get knocked down, they'll knock you down.
Okay.
And so I try to try and play the game the right way and be respectful of the game.
Beautiful.
I want to be respectful of the guys we're playing against, unless someone's being a real,
Yeah.
not a good guy. It's I try and be respectful of everybody and everything.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's continue the journey here. So you're playing with Milwaukee. You're going with them. What was the next sort of natural inclination there of playing after?
After I got released.
Yeah.
I knew, because obviously independent ball is a really big thing, and I know tons of guys that have made it to the major leagues playing in this league. There's a couple different leagues in the U.S. that they play in, and so I remember when I got released, I texted my agent, I told him, and he's just like, "All right, figure out a place to play."
Were you upset? Were you what was going through your mind?
I was definitely like bummed.
Were you expecting it?
Yeah, it wasn't super surprising. I wasn't throwing well at the time, and it wasn't very surprising. But yeah, I remember my agent's just like, "All right, we got to find somewhere to play then." And like I said, I was coming out of the bullpen with the Brewers, and he's like, "You just need to go somewhere where you can start."
Gotcha.
And so the Brewers were super cool. The farm director. Tom Flanagan, shout out Tom Flanagan. He's one of the best. He reached out to a couple teams in this league to try and help me find a spot to play.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's some of the nicest people in the Brewers organization, some of the best people. So they tried to help me find a spot, and then Greg Taggart, who was the manager here last year, ends up calling me, and he's like, "You want to come play?" And I was like, "Well, I want to start." He's like, "All right, we can give you a starting spot." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm coming." So I didn't think twice and just came here and had no knowledge of anything about Winnipeg.
Yep.
And showed up, and like I said, didn't have a great first half of the year, but finished strong and ended up having a super good time. Made some really, really good friends. Landon Barasa, Travis Seabrook, Dason Cruz, Andy Armstrong. Just so many guys that we were here last year with that are back this year. Miles Symington, and then continues to grow this year. I mean, this year's team has been so fun. Everybody loves everybody. It's just good vibes all the time.
And you guys are doing decently well this year.
We're
as well.
in third right now, so going into the top 4 teams from each side make the playoffs. So, but yeah, we've been playing well. We had a little skid a couple weeks back here at home, but we're definitely doing all right. Yeah.
And I saw that you were also named like the pitcher of the week for correct me if I'm wrong, something association.
I was the pitcher of the month for June in the American Association. Yeah.
Does that mean anything to you? Like, are you?
It means more to my fiance than it does to me. She's like, why does nobody recognize what you're doing? I'm like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to show up and do my job every day. I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
What I asked you at the beginning, but what's it like playing in Winnipeg? What's it like being in the city? And
oh, it's the best. I don't think I played in some pretty cool spots, and this is probably number one. The fans are awesome. Yeah, I get to see people, like we have fans that have season tickets that are here every day that you get to talk to, say hi to.
Cool.
They know your name. They know you, and they get to know you over the course of a year or two. The stadium's awesome. The field's great. On top of that, Andrew, our GM, he's the best. Jamie Sampson, our clubhouse manager. Everybody, it's just like you can't beat it. It's the best. Everybody's awesome. It's all about winning, but we also have a good time while we're doing it.
100%.
Logan Watkins, our manager this year, awesome guy, great manager. It's nice because he played in the major leagues, so he gets it. Pretty hands off. If you need something, he's there, but he's pretty like, I'm gonna let you guys do your thing.
That's awesome.
And so, just from top to bottom, everybody's incredible. Team's awesome. Some of the nicest, best guys I've ever been around.
One question I really wanted to ask you, and again, this shows my baseball knowledge, is baseball like the movie Moneyball?
Like how? What do you mean? Like the numbers and stuff?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it that intuitive? Like,
oh, it's way more than it was back
really?
then. Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's so. I was actually just talking about this with Max Murphy yesterday. Yamamoto that signed with the Dodgers during the offseason.
Okay.
He's 24 years old, and he had never pitched in the major leagues at all. And they gave him a $350 million contract.
Damn.
Because what they can do is they can take all your numbers, like from your pitch metrics, put it into their pitch model, which is like their AI like database that kind of like tells you exactly what you're going to get. And they basically can tell how you're going to do before you get to the major leagues. And that's how they could give him $350 million without pitching in the major league.
Crazy.
So like it's incredible now.
Wow.
And obviously when it comes to spending money, it's still some teams like the A's, they don't want to spend money, but the Dodgers are not afraid to spend money. They'll go buy players.
That's insane. So everything is like stats based, like
it's everything.
And so does that put pressure on the ability to like perform every night?
Yeah.
Because like my stat's gonna go down, or like numbers are gonna fluctuate a little bit here and there.
You kind of just have to forget about it.
That's crazy.
There's just at least for me, I can't worry about it, or else it's all negative if I just worry about
it. That's insane to me.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, I wish the average person could understand all the number. Like, I could try and explain it. If I had it in front of me, I could try and explain it to you, and it would just be like, what are you talking about?
That's insane. To not even be able, like, not even a single pitch, no nothing, just you're in.
Yeah, it used to be a lot more like you needed like
to show it.
You needed to show it, and there was a lot more like eye tests. Like, okay, it looks right.
Yeah.
But now it's like you could pretty much tell what a guy does just based off of the numbers that you see.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Do you look at your own numbers sometimes and be like, oh, I can...
not super. No? I try not to.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's helpful.
Cool. In terms of walking away from here, is there something that if you walked away and you're like, hey, I wish Robin had asked me that. I wish I had talked about a specific topic or a specific moment in your career that stands out. Do you have like the biggest moment in your career? What's something that at the top of the top, you felt like you were the man, everything's going your way.
So
your highlight of your career almost.
One of the most fun, like in the first thing I can think of is last year we were at home, and we were playing Kansas, team we're playing right now.
Yeah.
And Kansas City, and they were the #1 team in the league last year, and they had, I want to say they had like 8 or 9 guys that played the major leagues.
Yeah.
And it was like the best game I threw all year. I went a complete game, 9 innings with 12 strikeouts.
Ooh.
And I remember there was a base hit. I walked a runner onto first. There was a base hit into left field, and Miles Symington threw the ball to third and threw the guy out at third, and he was out, and the crowd was just going crazy. And I'm fist pumping it, and the crowd's just going crazy. And that was the same time last year when I was like, this is just so cool. Like there's probably 6,000 people here, and it's like the crowd's going nuts. It's like, that's the fun part. That's what's fun.
That's awesome.
And that was like the moment for me. I'm like, this is what baseball's about. It's not about the money, the contracts, this. It's not about the fan. This is what it's about. And so that was definitely like in my mind what I can vividly remember the most. Yeah.
See, I would love to end it there, but now I have to ask you, what's the worst moment?
In recent memory, last year against Sioux Falls, my fiance talked about this last night.
Yeah.
I gave up 8 runs in 3 innings.
Okay.
And I remember going into the clubhouse and being like, I don't want to play anymore.
Oh, no.
Obviously, I kept playing, but I was just like, I don't know what just happened. I remember texting and I was like, I don't know what just happened. And so, like as I'm saying, it's like there's always going to be highs, there's always going to be lows. It's like they always just try and say, like, just stay somewhere in the middle. Stay steady.
Yep.
Don't get too high, don't get too low.
It's funny you say that because the common theme, I would say, from the guests that we've had on the show, it's very similar.
Yeah.
There's going to be high moments. It's going to be low.
Yep.
Just got to stick right in the middle. It's very hard to stay in the middle.
Very
hard. But
especially, I think the biggest thing is like just getting your ego out the way. Don't be able to laugh at yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Like take things in stride and don't take it too seriously.
If you have any advice for someone who's looking to get into the world of baseball, someone maybe is in high school or early years, what would one thing that you'd say to them? What would you say to your younger self if you could give yourself advice?
Obviously work hard, put in the time, but B, work with a purpose. Don't just do stuff to do stuff. And that's hard when you're younger because you're just a 14, 15-year-old kid. You're like, I just want to go hang out with my friends. It's doing stuff with a purpose. And I think that's the most important thing. Don't just do it to do it. Do it with a reason and a purpose.
Wow, that's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing. Joey, thank you so much for taking the time. We're here at the Blue Cross Park, the beautiful park, the beautiful time in the beautiful field. Good luck for the rest of your season, Joey, and I appreciate the time that you spent here.
Thank you.
See you next week. Peace. That's a wrap.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. Pleasure.